Hello grade 11, working together at this challenging time is really important. It is not the work of the government alone to solve this pandemic problem. We need to contribute in our own little way to make the load of burden light by following health protocols. To finish the job in a short possible time requires more efforts of the entire Filipinos. We call this bayanihan, tulong-tulong para makaahon. Huwag tayong pabigat sa ating kapwa. Why am I saying this? Today, we are going to start exploring the first kind of function of this chapter, the rational function. Many real-life problems can be solved by applying the concept of rational functions like those of distance and work problems. Because we have so many works to do, let's go to work. No pain, no gain. Before we start, let us check first our prior knowledge if you know something about these concepts. Letter A, on polynomials. Identify the polynomial functions from the given set of expressions. A polynomial is a mathematical expression constructed with a constant and variables using the four operations, and here's the important part. Exponents must be a positive integer. Based on the definition, we can say that examples 2 and 3 does not qualify as a polynomial function because we have a negative exponent here and a term inside a radical sign, which is equivalent to fractional exponent. The rest are considered polynomials. Letter B, on factoring. Do you still recall your factoring skills? Match its quadratic expression with its factors. Here are the correct match. Letter C, distinguishing a rational equation, rational function, and rational inequality. Examine the three groups of expressions, then determine which group represents rational equation, rational inequality, or rational function. If you say that set A represents a rational function, then you are correct because it has a dependent variable y written as f of x. Set B represents rational inequalities because of this symbol of inequalities. And set C represents rational equation. From the word equation, it has an equal sign in between expressions. Let us define the concepts here. We just distinguish rational equation, rational function, and rational inequalities from each other. But wait, how about rational expression? Rational expression is just a ratio or a fraction of two polynomials. So if we remove all this, they are just rational expressions with no left and right hand side members. So here's the summary. A rational equation or a rational inequality can be solved for all x values that satisfy the equation or inequality. While a rational function expresses a relationship between two variables x and y and can be represented by a table of values or a graph. Determine whether the given is a rational function, rational equation, rational inequality, or none of these. Now we will take them one by one. When two polynomial functions are expressed as a quotient, a ratio or a fraction of two polynomials, then it is a rational function. It can be written as f of x equals p of x divided by q of x. The domain of any rational function is the set of all real numbers except the zeros of the denominator. If the denominator q of x is 0, it becomes undefined. Kaya dapat ingat tayo dyan. Where of course, the denominator q of x should not be equal to 0. Tell whether each of the following is or is equivalent to a rational function or not. Here's a sample problem. A local barangay received a budget of 3 million pesos for the social amelioration program during the COVID-19 pandemic. The amount is to be allotted equally among all the families in the barangay. Number 1, write an equation representing the relationship of the allotted amount per family y variables versus the total number of family as your x variable. So we can use this rational function notation where f of x or y is the allotted amount per family, p of x is the allotted budget equally divided by q of x as the total number of family in the community. So our equation becomes f of x equals 3 million divided by q of x. Number 2. How much would each family receive if there are 450 families? Because x represents the number of families, then x equals 450. Substitute this to our rational function, therefore, f of 450 as the allotted amount per family is equal to 3 million divided by 450. So each family receives 6,666 pesos and 67 cents. Continuing the scenario, a generous businessman wants to add the budget allotted for each family by providing an additional 1,000 pesos for each family in the barangay. If g of x represents this new amount allotted for each family, what function represents this kind of relationship? Fill up the table below with the different allotted amounts for different values of the number of families using our new function g of x. So here's our table. How many families should there be so that each family would receive 3,000? To solve rational equations, follow these steps. Number 1, find the least common denominator or LCD. Number 2, multiply both sides of the equation by the LCD. Solve for the equation and check the solution. Example number 1. Solve for x in this equation. Step 1. Find the LCD. The denominator are 4x plus 3 and 5. So the LCD is 5 times 4x plus 3. Step 2. Multiply both sides of the equation by the LCD. In step 3, solve the equation. On the left side of the equation, 4x plus 3 is cancelled. On the right hand side, 5 is cancelled. Now we are left with 5 times the quantity 7x plus 12 equals 2 times the quantity 4x plus 3. Distribute 5 and 2 and combining similar terms together, our solution is x equals negative 2. Step 4. Check the solution by substituting the computed value of x in the equation. So our equation is balanced. Is there a shorter way? Hindi ko sasabihin. Since there is only one expression involved on each side of the equation, we can apply the rule of cross multiplication, and the solution is the same. We will have more examples in our live class.